Hello, English learners, and welcome to English Pod. My name is Marco.
And I'm Erica.
Hey, Erica, how are you today?
Marco, I'm doing really well, and I'm really looking forward to today's lesson.
Well, so am I, because here at English Pod, we're giving you real English.
Everyday English.
Exactly, English that you hear in movies or in TV shows.
This is English people actually use.
So, Erica, what is our topic for today?
Well, today we're talking about computer viruses.
Perfect. So I think it's time for us to take a look at our preview.
Vocabulary preview.
Okay, today we've got 2 words to preview. The first word is virus.
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 So if your computer has a computer virus, it means your computer's sick, right?
Actually, a computer virus is a program that is designed to harm or to damage your computer.
Oh, I see. Okay, well, thank you for being so technical.
That's the technical explanation. Okay, let's take a look at our second word for our preview today, and that would be froze.
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 So if your computer froze, it means that
Your computer stopped working.
your applications or your programs stop working and you just can't do anything.
Your computer's broken.
Okay, great. So let's listen to our dialogue. It's going to be a little bit fast, but
Don't worry if you don't understand everything. At the end of this podcast, you'll understand everything.
perfect. Let's listen.
Oh, great. The stupid computer froze again. It's the 3rd time today. Hey, Samuel, can you come take a look at my PC? It's acting up again. It must have a virus or something.
Just give me a second. I'll be right up.
Vocabulary preview.
I ran a virus scan on your computer and it turns out that you have a lot of infected files.
But I'm quite careful when I'm browsing the internet. I have no idea how I could have picked up a virus.
Well, you have to make sure their antivirus software is updated regularly. Yours wasn't up to date. That's probably what was causing your problems.
Okay, anything else?
Yeah, try not to kick or hit the computer.
Yeah, sorry about that.
Well, I completely understand this guy. When my computer freezes, I kick it and punch it and do everything to it.
Well, I hope you don't punch it too hard, Marco.
Well, it's still working, so it's all right.
Okay.
All right, let's take a look at our language takeaway.
Language takeaway.
In today's language takeaway, we have 2 words. The first word for today is infected file.
Infected file.
Infected file.
Infected file. And what is an infected file?
An infected file is a file in your computer that has a virus in it.
Ah, perfect. That's really clear. What is our second word for the language takeaway today?
Our second word is not up to date.
Not up to date.
Not up to date.
And what is it when something is not up to date?
It means it doesn't have all the most recent information.
Okay, perfect. Now let's listen to some examples.
Example 1. I need to buy a new computer because mine isn't up to date. Example 2.
I can't find the street. Are you sure this map is up to date?
Example 3.
Sarah has just finished the reports and all the information is up to date.
Okay, that was pretty clear. You know, you can also use this phrase positively. You can say up to date.
Okay, for example, we can say this is a new map. This is the most up-to-date map.
Exactly. Or if I bought a new computer, I could say, I just got a new computer. All my software is up to date.
Okay, great. So now let's take a look at some phrases.
And it's time for putting it all together.
Putting it together.
Okay, so Samuel said a really great phrase. He said, I'll be right up.
I'll be right up.
I'll be right up.
I'll be right up. Now, we can use this phrase in a lot of different situations, so let's listen to some examples.
Dialogue.
Example 1.
Can you help me with my computer?
I'll be right there.
Example 2.
Come downstairs. Dinner is ready.
I'll be right down.
Example 3.
Hurry up! I need to use the bathroom!
I'll be right out.
Okay, really great and clear examples, right?
Yeah, you know that phrase, I'll be right out? I used to hear this all the time when I was young.
Really? How come?
Well, I have 2 sisters and we were always fighting for the bathroom. So someone was always saying, just a minute, I'll be right out.
Ah, yes, that's common. I had that too when I was young. Okay, now our second phrase is, it turns out that.
It turns out that.
It turns out that.
It turns out that. This is a great phrase. You can use it in many different situations. Marco, can you give us an example?
Sure. For example, I can say, Frank didn't come to work today, and it turns out that he was sick.
Yep. Or I could say, oh, I've been feeling really sick recently.
Why?
It turns out that I'm pregnant.
Oh my God, are you really pregnant?
No, I'm not, Marco. I'm just kidding.
All right, okay, so it's time for us to listen to our dialogue again, but this time it'll be
A little bit slower.
all right.
Oh, great. This stupid computer froze again. That's the 3rd time today. Hey, Samuel, can you come take a look at my PC? It's acting up again. It must have a virus or something.
Just give me a second. I'll be right up.
Other examples.
I ran a virus scan on your computer, and it turns out that you have a lot of infected files.
But I'm quite careful when I'm browsing the internet. I have no idea how I could have picked up a virus.
Well, you have to make sure that your antivirus software is updated regularly. Yours wasn't up to date. That's probably what was causing your problems.
Okay. Anything else?
Yeah, try not to kick or hit the computer.
Yeah. Sorry about that.
Okay, that was a lot more clear this time.
Definitely, yeah, I understood a lot more. Okay, so now it's time to look at Fluency Builder. Erica, why don't you explain what Fluency Builder is?
In Fluency Builder, we give you some great, useful phrases to help you express your ideas clearly.
Okay, great, so let's look at Fluency Builder.
Fluency Builder.
Okay, so in this dialogue, we know his computer wasn't working.
Right, so many students would probably say his computer was acting strangely.
His computer isn't working properly.
Exactly, and that's perfect and that's fine.
Yeah, but there's a really great way to say it that we heard in the dialogue.
It's acting up again. It's acting up again.
I love this phrase, it's acting up. Yeah, it sounds really natural.
It sounds really natural. Okay, we're ready to listen to our dialogue a 3rd time, but this time,
it'll be at the normal speed. Try and see if you can hear these key words.
Oh, great. The stupid computer froze again. That's the 3rd time today. Hey, Samuel, can you come take a look at my PC? It's acting up again. It must have a virus or something.
Just give me a second. I'll be right up.
I ran a virus scan on your computer, and it turns out that you have a lot of infected files.
but I'm quite careful when I'm browsing the internet. I have no idea how I could have picked up a virus.
Well, you have to make sure their antivirus software is updated regularly. Yours wasn't up to date. That's probably what was causing your problems.
Okay, anything else?
Yeah, try not to kick or hit the computer.
Yeah, sorry about that.
So, Marco, I really think that my computer actually has a virus now.
Really? How come?
Because I have been turning on my computer and then suddenly it turns off by itself. It shuts down by itself.
Yeah, that sounds like a virus.
But I ran a virus scan and there was no problem.
Well, maybe your antivirus software isn't up to date.
Yeah, I guess I'd better call Samuel.
Yeah, you can call Samuel to fix it.
Yeah.
All right, folks, we're out of time now, but be sure to go to our website at englishpod.com where you can leave all your questions and comments.
So stay tuned for our next great lesson. And until next time, goodbye.
Bye.
The second paragraph of the dialogue.
All right, so are you ready? Ready to decode the matrix? Today we are diving deep into everyday computer talk. You know, all those words and phrases that get thrown around in tech conversations. We're using a really fun English learning podcast as our guide here, one that actually uses like real life scenarios. So no dry technical manuals today, promise.
Yes.
By the end of this, you'll be dropping tech vocab like you built the computer yourself, even if, you know, you still secretly kick it sometimes when it acts up.
I love that. What I think is so cool about this podcast is that it really focuses on the practical side of language. It's not just about, you know, understanding some crazy tech jargon. It's about giving you the tools to have everyday conversations about computers, software, anything with confidence.
Exactly. So picture this. You're listening to this podcast, and the speakers are talking about some computer problem they're having, and then they use this word. That makes every computer user cringe. Virus.
Oh, yeah. The way they explain virus is brilliant, though. It's basically like a program designed to make your computer sick, just like a virus you might catch. And they even talk about infected files, which are files that are carrying the virus and can spread it to other computers. Remember that time your computer just started running super slow, like slower than molasses? Or maybe it started doing things you definitely didn't tell it to do. Yeah, that's the kind of chaos a virus can unleash.
Okay, so those are the
Other
bad guys.
examples.
The viruses. But how do we fight back? How do we protect ourselves? That's where being, you know, up to date is important. The podcast really makes it clear how essential it is to have the latest information and protection for your computer.
It's kind of like this. You know, we need to stay up to date on our vaccinations to avoid getting sick. Well, it's the same for computers. They need the latest software updates to stay protected from those nasty viruses. And it goes beyond just antivirus software, too. Think about, like, maps on your phone. If they're not up to date, you could end up taking a detour through who knows where.
Yeah, you don't want that. All right, so we've got the basics. Virus is bad, staying up to date good. But now let's get to the good stuff. The phrases you'll actually use in conversation.
Oh, this is where it gets fun. The podcast gives us some real gems. I mean, these aren't just tech terms. They're expressions you hear all the time. Even outside of, you know, tech talk, it's all about sounding natural and confident. Not like you're reading from a textbook.
Exactly. So think about how often you hear someone say, "I'll be right up," or "I'll be right down." Such a common phrase. But the podcast shows how it's actually super versatile, especially in tech situations.
Yeah, they give examples like someone yelling, "I'll be right out" from the bathroom when someone's like banging on the door. Or imagine you're in the middle of some online game and your mom yells, "Dinner's ready." You might shout back, "I'll be right down." It's just a way of saying you're coming, but with a little extra context, like where you're coming from.
Right. It's crazy how just one little word, a preposition, can paint a whole picture. You're not just saying like, "I'm coming." You're letting them know where you're coming from. Up, down, out. It adds flavor to your language.
Exactly. And that's what makes you sound like a natural speaker, someone who's like comfortable with the nuances of the language.
Okay, so I'll be right up, down, out. Got it? What else? Let's talk about another phrase that's all about like revealing something unexpected. It turns out that there's some pretty funny examples of this one in the podcast.
Oh, yeah. So they talk about like a coworker who's supposed to be at work, but it turns out that he's sick And then they take it even further and they imagine a scenario where someone's feeling under the weather, and then, get this, it turns out that I'm pregnant. Of course, they add a little disclaimer that it's a hypothetical situation, but it just shows you how you can use that phrase to deliver news, especially if it's surprising or unexpected.
It's like building suspense, right? Leading them down one path, and then bam, plot twist. And it's not limited to just tech talk. You could be talking about anything, and this phrase adds that element of, like, surprise and intrigue.
And that's a valuable thing to learn, right? It's not just about knowing individual words. It's about how to actually use them to make your communication more interesting and engaging.
Right. Before we move on, though, they introduce another great phrase. It's a more natural way to say something isn't working. Instead of saying, my computer is malfunctioning, which sounds super stiff, they use acting up.
Yeah. Ugh, my computer's acting up again.
Much more relatable, right? It sounds way less technical and more like something you'd say to a friend. And that's what I love about this podcast. It helps you sound like a native speaker, someone who really knows the ins and outs of everyday English.
I know, right? It's like you're giving your computer a personality. It's not just a machine. It's this thing that's, like, acting up and giving you a hard time. And the best part, you can use this for anything that's not working right. Your car, your phone, your internet connection. Super versatile.
Okay, so we've got some essential vocab down.
Dialogue.
Like virus and infected file. And we've explored some common phrases like, I'll be right up, down, out, and it turns out that. Plus, we've got this new way to talk about tech problems with acting up. But hold on tight, because there's more to come. They're about to introduce another phrase that really gets into the heart of troubleshooting.
It's the phrase, I ran a virus scan. Like, when you realize your computer is being kind of weird and you have to, like, take charge?
It's like you're a digital detective, not just freaking out, you're taking steps to figure out what's wrong. Makes you sound way more tech savvy, right?
Totally. It shows you know something. Like, you know what a virus scan even is, you know how to run one, and you get that it's important for protecting your computer. It's like, hey, I'm not totally clueless here. I know the basics.
It's like a subtle flex. I like it. And then the podcast takes it a step further. They talk about how important it is to keep your antivirus software up to date.
And here's the cool part. They connect updating software to, like, staying healthy. We get our vaccinations or checkups right. Well, computers need those updates to stay protected from new threats.
Yeah, like you can't just install antivirus once and forget about it. Things change so fast online. New threats pop up all the time.
And that's where not up to date comes in. And it's not just about software. It's about having the latest information, period. The most recent version, the freshest data. You wouldn't use a map from 10 years ago to get around a city, right?
No way, it'd be totally lost. But it's the same with computers. Old information, outdated software, it can cause all sorts of problems.
Exactly. It's like doing a puzzle with missing pieces. You kind of get the idea, but you can't see the whole picture. And online, those missing pieces, they can make you vulnerable to attacks or mistakes.
So basically, stay alert, everyone. Keep those updates coming. And make sure you've always got the latest info. It's like a digital arms race. You got to stay ahead.
Exactly.
Dialogue.
And that's what's so cool about this podcast. They're not just teaching words. They're giving you a way to think about computer safety and digital literacy.
Like we're all in this together, right?
Yeah.
We all use computers now. So we all need to understand the basics and stay informed.
And that's what makes this deep dive so helpful. It's not about becoming a tech genius overnight. It's about having the knowledge and the vocab to handle the digital world confidently.
We've covered a lot, haven't we? Viruses, staying up to date. We even learned some cool phrases like, I ran a virus scan, and not up to date.
Yeah, but there's more. The podcast also looks at phrases we use to communicate in tech situations. Those sometimes awkward moments when you're explaining things to someone who's not as techie.
Oh, I know those moments. Like trying to teach your grandma how to use Zoom, or explaining to your boss why the internet's down. Again. It's like there's this whole secret language for tech support, and once you know it, you can handle anything.
Right. And this podcast gives us the keys. One phrase they talk about is, let me walk you through it. Like you're offering help, guiding them through the tech maze.
Yeah, it's reassuring. Whether you're the one helping or being helped, it's like, we're in this together, we'll figure it out step by step.
And it's not only for tech stuff either. You could use it for anything you're explaining, like a recipe or a board game. Let me walk you through it. Works anywhere.
It's like having tech support on speed dial, always ready.
Speaking of tech support, the podcast has this phrase that's perfect for troubleshooting. What seems to be the problem? Simple, but it's how it all starts.
Like a doctor, right?
Oh.
What brings you in today? Got to figure out what's wrong before you can fix it.
And it makes the other person explain the problem. Sometimes just saying it out loud helps you find the answer.
Oh, totally. Like when you're explaining something to someone, and halfway through you realize the solution. Just putting it into words can spark that aha moment.
Exactly. So these phrases aren't just about talking, they're about solving problems. They help you approach tech issues with a clear head and a willingness to work together.
Okay, so let's sum up our deep dive. We learned about viruses, staying up to date. We talked about expressions like, I'll be right up, and it turns out that. And we even got a new way to say something's broken with acting up. Plus, we cracked the code of tech support with, let me walk you through it and what seems to be the problem.
And with all these new words and phrases, you're ready to take on the digital world with confidence.
Think about it. What conversations are you better prepared for now? Maybe you can finally explain to your parents how to avoid those spam emails, or impress your friends with your cybersecurity knowledge.
And remember, this is just the start. Technology keeps changing, and so does the language we use.
So keep listening, keep exploring, and keep learning. And if you ever feel lost in all the tech jargon, remember these phrases. They'll be your guide.
And most important, don't be afraid to try things out, play with the language, have fun. That's how you really learn.
Exactly. Go out there and conquer those tech conversations. And until next time, happy tech talking.